everyone. Today I'm going to show you how to clear up your headlight lenses that are all cloudy and yucky looking. So go ahead and watch the video, and I hope you learned something. If you have any questions, feel free to ask me in the comments or find me on Facebook and message me there. These headlights, they're not that, you can see they're not that bad, but if you look really close, see, look at that haze right there. So they're kind of getting there. They're getting kind of bad. So this car's headlights, it's too bad. They were like brand new looking, but now it just, I guess over time, they just get that way. So anyway, so I'm going to do these tonight and show you how. This is what you need. You need various grits of little, what I use is these little sandpaper sheets. I gotta focus. Along with this thing, you can buy these at auto parts stores. These are really great for doing headlights. I usually buy like a kit, and it doesn't have to be exact grits or anything like that. This kit that I had 400, 1,000, and 1,500, and then I had these 800s at home. It's not that many of them, but anyway, you can kind of skip some grits. You don't have to. There's not like a perfect interval or anything. So just kind of skip like every 500 or so is usually pretty good. So 400, 1,000, and 1,500. I probably won't do the 800 in between. Anyway, last time I did these was on my black car. It only took me an hour. It was like 30 minutes per headlight. I've gotten pretty good, so we'll see how long it takes me tonight. You also need, I use this for my clear coat for my headlights. It works really well. I just could never get the sprays to work right. So these, I found the auto parts stores used to carry them, but they don't anymore apparently. I don't know if 3M has discontinued them, but I intend to look online to see if 3M still sells them. Luckily I stocked up the last time I went to the auto parts store. I stocked up on these, so I had plenty. But I'm gonna need to stock back up. Then I got this 5,000, but I've never used 5,000 before. I may not use it. I usually stop at 3,000. Notice I cut them into strips. These actually stick to the back of this thing, so I cut them into strips already. I'm anticipating one per headlight. They do kind of, this red stuff falls off, so you may have to cut more strips. You also need, this is a spray water bottle, so I put water in here. You're going to need to keep the sandpaper nice and wet as you sand. It's wet sanding. And then I got some alcohol spray and some ultimate compound, along with lots and lots of microfiber towels, because you're going to need them for drying off the lens in between. And also, I didn't mention that you want to make sure you tape these off really good. Trust me, I've been there. I've been lazy and like, oh, I'll be gentle. I won't scratch the paint. Yeah, famous last words. I've scratched paint before. Luckily, it was on a bumper that needed to be repainted anyway, but this paint is in perfect condition, so I want to make sure it stays that way. So you definitely want to tape it off. You will scratch your paint. Even if you don't think you won't, you will. So take my word for that. I think that's pretty much all you need, so I'm going to go ahead and get started. Okay, I've already started on this. It's going to get real milky, especially with headlights that have never been done before. It's going to have the protectant clear coat on it, so you have to basically get all that out. I'm starting with the 400, and what I did was I sprayed the headlights real good, and then I also sprayed this real good as well. It's hard for me to do with one hand, but so you're going to spray that real good, and just sand until it's all kind of uniform, nice and cloudy, and you're going to have lots of milky substance. That's good. That's a good sign. It means you're getting rid of all the clear coat or the yellowing. It's going to be really, really milky, and this is where you may want to get a microfiber cloth and wipe it and see how it looks, because you want it to all be kind of even as far as its texture. I usually start with 400 or 600 myself. Depends on how bad the lens is. If it's not that bad, this wasn't bad, but due to the fact that it still had the original clear coat on it, I wanted to start with 400. I've sometimes started at 800 if they're not that bad and you're just trying to do some maintenance to it. So it's not quite even yet. I think there's still some clear coat on there, so I'm going to continue on. It's hard to tell because it's dark, but I can tell. So you just keep spraying and just keep doing this until it's nice and smooth, and you want to routinely dry it off with a microfiber towel to check how even your sanding is, because you want it to be really even before you move on to the next step, to the next grit anyway. Now I find you want to focus by the edges, because I found as many times as I've done this that the middle ends up being done really well, but you tend to miss the edges. So before you think you're done, just go ahead and go over the edges real good and just focus on the edges, especially the corners. These two corners, this one, well, and maybe that one, especially this one, tend to get skipped. So kind of focus your scrubbing kind of in there. Make sure you keep it all wet so you're not adding a bunch of deep scratches to your headlights. Mine are getting to be pretty close to being done. I'll show you what it looks like when it dries. I'm waiting for this to dry and haze over, but I wanted to talk to you for a second. It's really important that you do each step thoroughly and properly, because if you miss some spots and you don't do it right, you're going to have to start all over again from 400 in order to get it. You may get lucky, you may not have to quite start that low, but I've had to redo headlights, especially in the beginning when I was new at it. I've had to start all over, and that's no fun. So as it starts to dry, you can see it starting to haze over real good. The haze should be even. I'm noticing that right in here I'm not having that haze, and I'm wondering what's going on there. That's telling me that it's not even. This first step is by far the most difficult. All the other steps go pretty smoothly. It's this first one where you have to make sure you get all the original clear coat off. Otherwise, you may wind up with an uneven looking headlight when you're all done. Okay, I'm just waiting for these to haze over so I can make sure that the texture is consistent. While you're waiting for it to haze over, you can go ahead and get yourself a drink, a beer, in my case, and a soda, and come right back out. It should be done hazing over. Okay, frustrating, but it's not quite even. There's still some spots, so I'm going to go ahead and go back over. Like I said, this first step is the most difficult. All the other steps are way easier. Okay, Mark had to put some more pressure on there for me. It turns out that line that was in the middle right here, basically we hadn't really gotten as well down here as we had up here. So Mark's putting some pressure on it for me to try to get it off. When I tell you, you should not see, your lens should not be clear at all in any one spot. It should be completely hazy.
It's working good at night, actually.
Yeah, it seems to work better at night. It should be completely hazy. You shouldn't see any clear spots on your lens. Like right down here, see how that's clear right there? That's not good. That means you need to get down there some more. It should all be hazy and uniform before you move on from the first step. I know it's going to take a while and you're going to get impatient, but I'm telling you, if you don't do it right, it's not going to look right. So it's worth investing the time so you don't have to redo it later on. Make sure there's no clear spots.
I was going to wax.
Okay, see, this is pretty good. This is uniformly hazy. There are no clear spots. There's no spot where you can see completely through the lens. It's completely hazed over. That's what you want. Mark was just commenting, we've done these headlights many times, and it seems like doing it at night is pretty good because you can see the haze better. You can kind of see when this first step is done a little bit better than in the daytime. So never would have thought it, but anyway, that's what it should look like. And it looks like we're about ready to move on to the next step. I think I'm going to go from 400 to 1,000. The other steps are not nearly as important as the first step. That first step has to be done right. The other steps, well, you want to do them right as well, but it's not going to take as long. My tape keeps coming undone, so I have to keep pushing it back. Make sure if it comes off, it keeps coming off down here, make sure you just kind of put it back and it'll kind of stay. Just make sure you don't scratch your paint. You can even dry it and redo the tape if you want to. Okay, I'm about to move on to the 1,000 grit. By the way, I went through two 400 grit sandpapers on one headlight. I've done as many as 3 or 4 of the same grit before, but these headlights only needed 2. You could, the more often you switch, the faster it'll probably go, because it does get kind of ground down. And if you switch more often, it may go faster. But who knows? Anyway, I'm gonna move on to the 1,000 grit. Okay, so basically the 400 grit is going to scuff up your lenses, and each time you step up to a finer grit, your lenses will magically start to clear up. And you can see these are a little bit clearer than they were just a minute ago. I've already started with 1,000. They're starting to clear up. But you want it to be uniformly clear. So I want to keep working on this. There's some gaps where it's more clear in some spots and less clear in others. Again, you want to try to get it as even as possible. Okay, this is after the 1,000. They're not really looking a lot clearer, but that's fine. That's perfectly normal. I'm going to move on to the 1,500. It's kind of universally the same consistency. We're pretty close to it. Not really a lot better than the 400, but we're making progress towards having clear lenses. So I've just sprayed it down. I'm about to work on the 1500. By the way, I only used one of the 1000 pads. I only used one of those. So 2 of the 400s and 1 of the 1000. So you may use more, possibly, depending on how your lenses are, but that's what I used. So I've certainly used more in the past, but with experience I've learned that you don't need to use as many. I think in the past I was doing a little bit overkill. You want to do it well, but you don't need to do it overkill. Okay, I'm almost finished with the 1500. They're not really looking clear, but they do look pretty clear when I spray them like this. You can see, and that's a sign. See, they're clearing up. When we put the clear coat on, especially when we buff it with the compound, that's what's going to kind of buff out all that haziness that you're seeing. But when you spray it with water, that should give you an indication of how clear they are. So don't worry about the haze so much. But look, you can see how clear they're getting. Looking really nice. So once you put the clear coat in, it's going to fill in all those fine little scratches. Looking pretty good. I just dried them with the towel and buffed them with the towel really good. They're looking better. So now I'm on to the 2000 or 3000. Ooh, 3000 grit. I had 2000 grit, but I may just skip to the 3000. By the way, I only used one of the 1500. I only used one of those, and I'll definitely only use one of the 3000. Usually don't need but one of these. Unless the red starts coming off, then you may have to switch to another one, but usually I only use one of these per lens. Hey, you can see how nice this is looking. This is with the 3000. Look how nice and clear that's getting. Look how beautiful those lenses are. And I haven't got to the 5000 yet. I'm going to try the 5000, which I've never done before, and then I'm going to put the Ultimate Compound on, and you're going to see how nice they're going to look. Now this is how it looks. I just dried it. This is how it looks dry after the 3000. I'm going to go ahead and do the 5000 now, which again is the first time I've done that, so we'll see how nice it makes it look. Okay, this is after the 5000. Not perfect, but that's where the Ultimate Compound is going to come into play. So next you're going to use this from Meguiar's. This is great stuff, by the way. You can use it on all kinds of stuff to clear things up. But anyway, this you're going to use to kind of shine these up and polish up the lenses and make them look really nice. Make sure you use a dry, clean microfiber cloth when you use this stuff. I just dabbed some on, probably more than I need, but anyway, I've dabbed it on. I'm just going to rub it in really good. Okay, I forgot to tell y'all you're supposed to take the tape off and dry it off really good before you use the Meguiar's Ultimate Compound, because otherwise you're just going to be getting water all over and it's not going to work as well. So I've already done one round of the compound. You can tell they're looking really nice, but I definitely missed some spots, and that's in part because I still had the wet blue tape on there. Water mixed with the compound makes the compound less effective, so you want to dry it off really well around the headlights. Hey, after you're done polishing, you're going to take a clean part of your cloth, or better yet, a new cloth. Take a part that doesn't have any polish on it, and you're just going to wipe all the excess off of your lens once you think you're finished. And you may have to go back over it, but it's hard to tell until you get all the polish off to try to see how it's looking. This part's not looking so good, so I still need to work it in a little bit more before I continue on with the clear coat. And the clear coat will fill a lot of that in, but I want to try to get it as nice and even as possible before I apply the clear coat. It is looking pretty good. I think the clear coat's going to fill in the rest of whatever little bit of haziness you can see. Also the light shining on it, so kind of got a little bit of a reflection on it, but it's looking pretty good. Beyond the first step probably took me 30 to 45 minutes for that very first step, and every step after that, as you step down to finer and finer grits, each one should take 5 to 15 minutes per step beyond that first step. And the first step again is so difficult because you're trying to get rid of the original clear coat that's on there. If the clear coat, if you happen to get lucky enough, like on my black car, where the original clear coat is completely off, that first step will definitely not take as long, which is why when I did my black car, it only took me 30 minutes total per headlight. Went by very quickly, but again, that car had been sitting out in the elements for a while and all the clear coat was gone, so it made the work a lot easier. Okay folks, your next step is to take your alcohol, preferably in the spray bottle form, and you're going to spray it on, and then wipe it off with your with the clean microfiber cloth. This is the prep before you put the clear coat on, so you want to make sure all the oils from the polish and stuff are off. So that's what the alcohol is going to do, is get all those oils off, so that way the clear coat will look more clear when you apply it. So I'm just going to spray it down real good. And this step is definitely not overkill or anything. It's not spraying out. It's been a while since I've used this bottle. I finally got it to work, spraying out. You don't need to use a ton of it, just enough. Spray it down real good. And then you're just going to wipe it. Again, it has to be a clean microfiber cloth because you want to get all your oils off. And it should look really nice and clear. If you're noticing any spots that you just are not happy with, you can feel to go back down a couple steps, go back to 1,000 or even 1,500 and try to clear it up until you know, gets you to where you're satisfied with it before you add the clear coat. That's Mark's waxing the car next to me. So there we go, ready for the clear coat step. Hey, Mark's doing some waxing, so I wanted to show you all this. So the pack comes in this big pack like this, and it comes with this sanding pad. I never use it, I just throw it away. I don't use that. I've already been through that with these, so I guess you could use that. I think it's a 3,000, so instead of like buying a 3,000, I guess you could use that instead. But anyway, so it comes with 2 packs, 1 per headlight. So you're going to use, you know, just throw the other one down, and you're going to use the 1 clear coat wipe for this headlight. The way it works is you're going to apply it and then wait, I forget how long. I'll tell you all in a minute. Okay, what it says to do, and I never do it this way. Let me fix this. What it says to do is to do both headlights at one time. So you do, you use this 1 wipe on both headlights, and then you let it dry for 5 to 15 minutes, and then you're going to take the other wipe and then do both again for your final coat. I never do it that way. What I do is I take the 1 pack. I only do 1 headlight at a time. I don't know why. Maybe once I did 2 at a time. I don't know. But anyway, I take this, and you're going to wipe it, and I'll show you in a minute, but you're going to wipe it to where there's little overlap, just like this. You're going to wipe it. And then what I do is I take it, I stick it back in here, and I kind of like fold it shut, and I'll reuse the same wipe on the second coat. That's just what I do. But anyway, you could follow the instructions exactly, but that's not what I do. And it works out fine. Anyway, you're going to take your wipe, and you're not going to unfold it. Okay, you're going to take it, and you're just going to go like this. With just one edge like that. Try not, kind of resist the temptation to kind of go back over it like I'm doing. So it's just going to make it worse. And let it dry like that. I'm going to stick this back in the pouch, and it will dry pretty nice. And you can put the second coat on in 5 to 15 minutes, and it says until it's dry to the touch. Hey, we're looking pretty good. The first coat dried. I went and did some laundry and got some water and took a break. And I'm going to go ahead and put the second coat on now. So I'm using the same wipe as before, but I'm going to use the other side. The side I didn't use the first time. I kept track of which side was which. So again, you're just going to go over it the same way as before. Kind of carefully. Slight overlaps. And it started to dry on me. That's never happened before. Maybe get to a cleaner side. Okay, this is the first time, maybe it's the humidity, and the wipe has started to dry on me, so that's not good. I usually don't like to go over it like this, but I have no choice at this point. Kind of messed it up a little bit. You're going to see the streaks, so anyway, a little bit too much. But it's going to work out because it's going to dry okay, but then you're once it's all dry, and I usually wait till the next day just to make sure it's all nice and hard, but I will take the Ultimate Compound, that we used earlier. I'm going to buff it out really good once this clear coat is nice and dry. Now this lens is not going to end up being great. I might have to actually wipe this off because I messed it up by using the same wipe. I think the last time I did this it might have been cooler. So I'm going to go ahead and wipe this off because it's got a bunch of excess on it. It actually might wind up being okay like this with just the one coat. But when I do the other headlight, I might end up sticking, when I do the other headlight, I may stick the second coat on this one at that time. But it's still looking pretty good. And I'll buff it out really nice tomorrow, maybe in the morning. I'm trying to get rid of this excess. It's the first time I messed it up, and I'm doing the instructional video. Sorry guys. Maybe follow the instructions. Don't be lazy. Do both headlights at the same time, and you won't run across this problem. So, okay, so I had extra of these, so I'm gonna go ahead and use another new one of these to put another coat on and make it look really nice, so y'all can see how it's supposed to look. Okay, again, I'm gonna take my newly opened wipe. Just gonna wipe it like this, slightly overlapping, but not too much. It's kind of hard to get perfect. That's why you're gonna buff it out. I have a little bit of a drip up here. Try to resist the temptation to fix the drip. I'm always tempted to fix it, but it's not going to make it any better, really. Again, that's where the ultimate compound is going to come into play to try to kind of buff some of that out. And it works pretty well. So this step, it still won't be perfect, but it's still going to be pretty nice. It's going to be perfect whenever you use this the next day. I would wait a day or two, but probably a day is fine. I've always waited a day, and it dries really nice, and then you'll go ahead and buff it out really nice, and it's going to look really good. So, and the clear coat wipes are going to make it to where these won't yellow for a while. I would recommend if you keep your car outside, keep it covered, but if you can't keep it covered, then you're probably going to be redoing this once every year or two, because the clear coat is only going to hold for a year, maybe 2 years at the most, and you're going to be doing this all over again. But that's just part of keeping a car outside. So anyway, all right, thanks for watching. I know we actually sold this car. It's being picked up tomorrow, so I don't know if I'm going to get a chance to do the buffing step and show it to y'all, but if I can, if it's still here when I get home tomorrow, I'll show you all the buffing step. But I want to make sure this is nice and dry before I do that step. So anyway, but you can see it's looking really, really good. And after you do the ultimate compound, these are going to look practically brand new, I promise you. Well, as you can see, they're already looking practically brand new, but they're really, really going to look really nice once you finish that compound. And you can use this to buff them out in between. Like anytime they start looking a little hazy or dirty or whatever, you can use this stuff to clean them up really nice. This is good stuff. So I use these on my headlights quite often, actually, to keep them really clear and nice looking. So anyway, thanks for watching, and I hope this helped you. And if you have any questions, please contact me on Facebook or ask me in the comments.